The Groff Show podcast is proud to partner with Skyline Sports, your go-to source for all things Grizz and Big Sky Conference football. Visit SkylineSportsMT.com today. Welcome back to episode 13 of the Groff Show podcast. We have a very special podcast today. One of my best friends, former teammate of mine, he played a lot of ball. Played at Florida A&M, then transferred to UTEP, and then transferred to the University of Montana. Played wide receiver at the two locations before, and then defensive back at the University of Montana. Very excited to have him on. Very special person. And without further ado, Mr. Keynan Foster. Welcome on the podcast, dude. Welcome.
Thanks, bro. That's sick that you can do that. Thank you. Before we get started, I want to say Jackson Groff is great. What he's doing is great. And I said it first, and I keep saying it. He's going to be on ESPN one day.
I hope we can.
I promise you. I tell your dad that every time I see him.
I know. I kind of hate it because I'm that kind of guy that doesn't want to, like.
That's fine.
I hate when people, I hate talking about myself, you know, like being like, oh yeah, like I do this, blah, 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 blah. But
yeah, but you keep, and hey. I'm sure there's some doubters out there and haters, but
we love it.
I am positive that you'll make it. You're killing it, man.
We love
Proud
it.
of you,
Appreciate
baby.
it, dude. You too, bro.
Proud of you.
Yeah, hopefully you go back to this clip like 10 years from now and then shit.
Oh yeah,
ESPN
definitely.
Something. I know. Eventually, you're gonna be.
We'll stitch it.
Yeah. We'll stitch it. For people out there that might know who you are and who Keynan Foster is, just tell the audience a little about yourself.
A little bit about myself.
What makes Keynan Foster?
Keynan Foster is 5'8", 160 pounds. That's been this height since like freshman year of high school. No, but I'm from Seattle, Washington, north. Place called Lake Stevens, Washington, where Chris Pratt went to high school out there. But I transferred high schools. I didn't go to Lake Stevens High School, and a lot of people know. We'll probably talk about it. But Jacob Eason went to Lake Stevens High School, the Colts backup quarterback.
Dude, you guys could have been like.
I know,
electric.
We talk about it all the time. But yeah, so I went to Jackson High School, mostly known for baseball. Probably before that time, and football was all right. And then did that and ended up getting offers for baseball too. I was playing baseball.
Oh, wow.
I had offered to
I actually
UW.
didn't know you played baseball.
Yeah. So that was my main sport. My dad still gets mad at me to this day. I'm 25, and he's like, "Man, you should have picked baseball, man." We spent I think they spent I can't even. Let's just say 10 to 15,000 on traveling and select teams. Yeah,
because baseball's year round and stuff. So you got the club teams, and then you got showcases and stuff like that.
Exactly. And I was doing all that. And my junior year or sophomore year of high school, I can't remember. I think it was sophomore, junior. UW's head baseball coach sat me down, me and my family, and gave me an offer for 25% because you know how baseball is. They don't give full. They said it'll go up as you get older or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is sick or whatever. But I kind of was sick of baseball. So then I decided to choose football because I got my first offer for football was Air Force. But yeah, so I just got more football offers and decided to pick football over baseball. But I had most of the Big Sky almost. And so yeah, continue on. I actually committed to Montana. A lot of people don't know.
Really?
Yeah. So I committed to Montana my senior year when Delaney was head coach before Stitt.
Yeah.
And so I'm all excited that the receivers coach, Torrey Meyer, I think his name is. A great guy. He came out to my game against Kamiak and was supporting me. He's like, yeah, you're doing great, man. We can't wait to have you, blah, blah, blah. And then Delaney retires. And the whole staff gets wiped out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, whatever. Okay, I'll just go to MSU. Call them. Mind you, MSU's receivers coach came to a home visit and was like, we really want Keynan or whatever. Call them. They're like, hey, we got someone else ahead of you right now. So, but the offer will stand if they don't commit or if they decommit or whatever. Yeah. And I go, okay, Portland State. Portland State had a coaching change or something. Dropped my offer. They're like, no. Idaho had another guy in front of me all of a sudden. And then Air Force, I didn't want to go in the first place. And then my SATs weren't good enough to get into to Air Force or whatever.
Bummer.
And so, yeah. And then my godfather I don't know if have you ever told you this whole thing?
No,
about,
that's what I was gonna say in the intro too, because like. I mean, we're like best friends and stuff like that. Like I've known you for a while, but I don't know your like in-depth details.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long everything. It's a long story because I've been a lot of places, but yeah, my dad's fraternity brother, and so he was at FAMU. That's his first coaching job back since he left LSU, or he was at another small college before that, but he went to FAMU, and like, hey, come down here, take a visit. We can offer you. Wow. And then I went down there, and I had no choice. Yeah. It was like. One's at HBCU, and I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, high school, everything, except for my dad. I used to go down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and visit down there, so I knew a little bit about black culture. Yeah. And my dad always teach me about black culture, but I've never really been into it. So I went down to Florida A&M for a visit, and it was just absolute culture shock. I mean, really, I'm like saying like, dude, what's up, man? Like, you know, like things like that. And they're just like looking at me.
They're like what the hell?
They're like, what the? Okay. But like the you know, a football player, like everybody gets along in the football team. So all the guys we were visiting, they were from Florida and different places, but like we all just got along and it was fun. But I noticed that I was like, this is really far from home. It's like 3,000, or I don't know if it's 3,000. I think it's like, it might be 3,000 miles away from home. I can't remember.
I mean, yeah, Washington to the other
side.
Corner
to corner. Yeah. It's in Tallahassee, northern part. And so I didn't know if I wanted to be there because I saw like the gear, the field, the atmosphere was just a little weird, like whatever. But like the school was awesome. Like it was like unbelievable. I was like, and then we would go to parties for on our visit, and I was just like, this is like, I'm doing it. Screw it. Like I know the football might not be that good, but I'm gonna do it. And so then I ended up committing there like 2 days before signing day, and I thought I was gonna be like one of those guys who's gonna pick a hat. I was gonna be like,
that was my dream.
Yeah, no, that was my, nope, that wasn't me at all. All my offers dropped, but all the offers were even kind of small. Yeah. And then went to FAMU.
Talk about your time at FAMU, because I mean, you said it was a culture shock. Yeah, you went on a visit, but talk about, I guess, being there at FAMU. And I know Florida parties go crazy too.
Crazy. It took me about 2 or 3 months to get the lingo. They have a lot of lingo, like they say jit and like G shit and bi and like a whole bunch of stuff, right? Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm good. I believe I'm confident in myself that I can adapt to different cultures, which I have, and I think I've proven that a little bit. And so I went down there. It took me like 2 or 3 months. I was getting made fun of. I mean, people call me white boy, and I'm like, I'm black, bro. But like, it's a whole different vibe. Yeah. But the parties, I mean, we had the thing called Set Friday, and so there's, in Kappa Alpha Psi, it's a black fraternity. Yeah. So they have a lot of black fraternities, and when we say black fraternities, for people that don't know, it's white people can be in it too. It's just black people started it because they weren't allowed in white fraternities. Yeah. Right. And so they have this thing called Set Friday in all the black fraternities. So we're talking like Omega Psi Phi, who like Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan are in it. That's sick. They have Kappa Alpha Psi, who's like Marquise Goodwin, Colin Kaepernick, Mike Tomlin. They're all in Kappa Alpha Psi. Just to name a few. Then there's like there's a whole bunch of different ones, and there's AKAs, which are the girls, deltas, and the blues, and a whole bunch. And so we got Set Friday, and those, like, you thought like sports people were popular, like you see these guys like dancing or stepping on Set Friday, really, or even around campus. Oh, they're just like, they're the shit. Like they're like, damn. And so it was just like, so girls would be all over them. Everybody would just come out to like see them, and then also just vibe with the cultures, different clubs. So there's that, and that was on campus, and that was like, I've never had like a campus like be lit. Like you would wear your best outfit. I was like wearing jeans to class because it was Set Friday. Yeah, it was like super fun. But then we had clubs, which I never had been to a club, and I was 18 and you could get into the clubs. You just had a wristband if you're 21 to get drinks. Yeah. And like the first time I saw Kodak Black he was actually walking around FAMU's campus in 2015. No way. Just walking around, short hair. just like walking around. Like everybody knew who he was. I had no idea who he was because I was from Washington, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Yo, he's gonna be big, whatever." And he had No Flocking out, right?
Yeah.
That song. And he's walking around. I'm like looking at him, and everybody's asking for pictures. Like I was like, I'm not gonna ask for a picture. Like I don't really know who he is. And then he comes to the club like that same night, and he plays No Flocking. And I was like, this shit is crazy. Like this is what Florida music. This is like what it's like. And so we had like a lot of guest appearances with like you had Future, Migos. I mean, tons of people like love FAMU. Would go down there, but yeah, and then it's right next to Florida State. So you got your black college over here, and then you got your predominantly white
your
college
white
over
woman,
here. Your white woman, your black woman. You know what I mean? And it was a perfect split. I would hang out with both, and it was a good time. But it's so interesting that it's because I went to an all black school, and then I went to a predominantly Mexican school, UTEP, and then I came here, which is predominantly white. I mean, just like as white as you can get, right? It's Montana. If everybody says you say Montana, anybody, they're like, "This is." You're like, "Oh, you're with white people." I'm like, "Yep, I am."
That's funny.
But like the culture is like so rich and so beautiful to me. Like those people, like they are really like it's like a brotherhood and a sisterhood. Like everything they do is like family.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and a lot of people can't afford things, you know. So like, for example, I'm glad you brought this up. I grew up middle class. Blessed. My dad grew up in the projects from nothing. I go to HBCU, which doesn't have a lot of money. Like FAMU doesn't have a lot of money, and you get these players, right? My teammates who come from nothing, like my dad. Like you know what I'm saying? Like come from dirt roads and like from the country of Florida, right? And so my coaches are like, "Hey man, go out there and compete or whatever." And these guys like they don't care at all. Like they're like. I need this scholarship. I need to feed my family. Like I need money. I want to go to the NFL. Like all this stuff. I never had that grit and heart like that. So I learned a lot from being at FAMU and being with those teammates. They're like absolutely like gritty and like they grind for what they want. And now a lot of them are very, very successful. After like I still follow tons of them. And they got their own companies. I mean, they're like doing selling houses, you know, things like that. It's like things you would when I first saw them, I was like, "There's no way." Yeah. Right. So I learned a lot, and a lot of people don't understand. Like that's what those HBCUs are. I mean, they have a lot of people who don't have a lot of money, you know, obviously because systematic racism and the projects and redlining and all this stuff. But it's really cool to see that they can make something out of it, and it was an awesome experience, man. It really changed me for who I am today, for sure.
Yeah, I think also too a big part of how I guess those players were able to like continue on and like make their own companies and stuff like that is also like college football programs. Like if you're in one, no matter how long you are, you're gonna change as a person.
Yeah,
at least 100%. For me,
100%.
like when I got here, I was like in high school, I was like super sensitive. Like I would be like. When people would yell at me, I'd kind of like take offensive to it, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And I came here, first day of fall camp, all that just went out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
You're called every word possible. I can't even say them because there's so many.
Exactly.
But even like, not even that too, also the disciplines and also like, I mean, you're with a group of guys the whole year. Even like you talked about FAMU and probably UTEP dudes that you probably still talk to like to this day.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And yeah, I agree. I mean, my dad was on my ass from day one. So coaches yell at me, and I'm like, this is not my dad. but yeah, man, it's just like
that's funny.
It's a crazy world. It's a whole different. It'll definitely change you, like college sports in general. And I was just thinking about something on the way here. I can't remember what I was thinking, but how. I was thinking about how parents how did you have a lot of pressure growing up, like with your parents, like going to play sports, or when you're playing sports, do your parents like put a lot of pressure on you?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, my dad was my football coach all the way to like 6th grade, I think. So we did flag and tackle, but not really any pressure. I mean, he would tell me like, hey, like you need to gain more weight. We need to do this, run hills. Like he'd run hills with me, like we'd lift, like stuff like that. Even like throughout high school and stuff like that too. Like I think he put more pressure on me when it was like my sophomore year up, because he's like, all right, you need to get to here if you want to make your goals. Like, I need to push you. We need to go to the gym, like do all that kind of stuff too. And he was like, he's still like, those who met my dad, like he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
like, he
definitely.
still probably could like
Yeah.
lift as much as I could. I'm trying to lift more than him, but we'll see.
I believe it.
Yeah. So I think growing up, he didn't really put that much pressure on me, but I think in high school, he put some pressure, but not too much added pressure because he knew what my goals and dreams were.
Gotcha.
So what about you?
That's a good question. Yeah. So I was thinking about, I saw Elsa's story.
Yeah.
You saw that, you know? So I got a lot of that from my dad. My dad would definitely pressure me, loved him to death. I mean, I knew it was all out of love, but sometimes it was too much. I mean, sometimes he'd put me down a lot, but like I always stayed level-headed and listened because what he was saying was correct. It just sometimes doesn't come off. He still gets on me to this day. But I just think it needs to be talked about more. I mean, I feel like a lot of college students, their parents are like putting them down, giving them tons of pressure on them, and they already got pressure, man. You're in school, you're barely getting paid, or you have a job, or you have a half scholarship, and you need like 2 jobs. You could barely eat, you know what I'm saying? And then you got your parents like shoving stuff down your throat, like, or down your head. You need to do this, you need to do that, and it's just like sometimes it takes a toll on people, and that's why a lot of people give up and quit sports, and it's tough to see. And I felt that for sure, but I got lucky. I fought my way through it, and I was like, I'm gonna be all right, and it ended up turning out being good. So. And
then what made you go to FAMU, enter the transfer portal?
Oh, there's no transfer. I'm so old. There was no transfer portal.
You're old as
I'm old as hell.
Then tell me how
there was
you
no
got
4-game rule either. It was like you pay 80% of this time, then you can redshirt or something like that. There was no 4-game. What made me leave FAMU? I remember. So when I committed to FAMU, my Coach Wood, still thank him to this day. Thank you for the offer, and all that. But he lied. Like, I'm probably want to get out of here. I'm thinking I might come home and for Christmas, first time seeing my friends in 6 months, and then go back. And my mom was like crying. She's like, "We're gonna get you out of there." And I was like tearing up. I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, we got to get out of here." And so I do spring with them. I had a decent spring, but I was just like still not feeling it. I loved the school, loved the people. It was a great experience, but I was like, it's like too far, like not even too far from home, because I was fine with throwing myself out there. Home is always home. You can always go back. Yeah. For you who are watching that are younger and you don't want to get out of state or get away from home, home is always home. They'll be there. So get out and
go out of state. Be uncomfortable.
Go out of state and push your boundaries. You'll be all right. Your
high school friends aren't your friends forever.
Yeah.
You only have like 2 or 3 maybe that you'll talk to from high school.
Unreal. I'm 25. My birthday. I'm trying to think of how many people I can count, like on one hand how many people wish me happy birthday, and I'm talking about like I have close friends. Yeah. That just like I don't even wish them sometimes because I forget. You know, or I'm just like I'm like too. I love you. You know what I mean? But it's crazy once you get older. It's like nothing that doesn't matter. Likes and all that. Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna get out of here. So. I hit up trusty Coach Pease. So for you guys that don't know, Coach Pease, I met him in high school. His wife was my track coach, and so and Carson was my track teammate. If that's how you say it. And so Coach Pease is at UW. So I'm at FAMU, and he's like, "Hey man, come to UW." Oh wow! I was like, "Oh bet." And so I go to sign my papers to go to UW, and he gets released by what's his name from?
Oh, was it Peterson?
Peterson, yeah. Where was Peterson at before this?
He was at
Boise State. That's right. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so he got released by Peterson, and so I was literally about to sign it was literally the day before I was gonna sign my papers to UW, just to walk on though, not for scholarship. Still, just to walk on. I was like, I just need to go play football somewhere, and UW was always my dream school. And so he's like, just wait. He's like, just wait. And so he goes to UTEP. And so the rest is history. I ended up at UTEP, and I walked on. They said after you have to walk on, and then after a year, we'll give you a scholarship. Mm-hmm. And I balled out in practice, and did my thing, and they gave me a scholarship.
Way earlier.
Yeah, no. In the spring. So like it was like
spring.
like 6 months or 8 months or something. But unlike FAMU or Coach Wood, they actually gave me my scholarship.
Damn. For those who don't know out there who are UTEP, it's not very good at football either. Until now,
what record scratch?
Until now,
baby.
But talk about your time, I guess, at UTEP, and you played with a lot of people that are in the NFL that are thriving right now.
They're killing it. Walked on to UTEP, and we were one game. The year I walked on was with Aaron Jones, Will Hernandez, and Nik Needham, all three in the NFL. That year I walked on, I was just happy to be there, man. I was like, I busted my butt in the summer before I got there. I was like, I'm gonna walk on, like I'm just gonna do my thing, and do whatever they need me to do, be on scout team, whatever. And so I think we went 5-6 that year. We were one game away from bowl eligibility, and mind you, before not bad at all. And before I came to UTEP, my boy Tiano he plays for Portland State, and he played at UTEP before this. He was like, dude, have you heard of the Jones brothers? I'm like, no, I haven't heard of UTEP really. You know what I mean? And he's like, dude, look these up. He sends me their highlights. And so Alvin, his twin brother, I think Alvin's older, and then Aaron. Yeah. And they were both on UTEP, and I watched them. And I'm like, dang, okay, these guys are pretty good. And he's like, yo, the brother Aaron is like, he's really fucking good, right? And Alvin's good too. A lot of people I think he was just a little too short. Yeah. So then you go and you see him in practice, you see Aaron in practice, and you're like, okay, I understand what they're saying, right? Yeah. And then we get in the games, and mind you, I'm in the stands because I'm a redshirt, so I'm just like kicking in the stands, drinking or whatever, just hanging out. And we're playing like we're not that good of a team, obviously. We had good athletes, man, really good athletes, and we had Will Hernandez, who's the starting guard for the Giants right now, and then Aaron Jones in the back. Then you had Alvin on the other side, his twin brother, and then you had like Nik Needham at corner, and then we had like Devin Cockrell, who plays for like the Arizona Rattlers right now. He's in the Arena League, and that's the hardest. There's also Nick Usher. Shout out to Nick Usher too. He plays in the Canadian League right now. I think for Montreal. Damn. And Nick Usher and Devin Cockrell they'll break your helmet in half. Like they were really? Like, you think like Dante and like them hit hard. I've never seen those guys are like psychopaths. Wow. And you see Aaron make these plays, and I talked to my uncle or my mom's best friend's husband. I call him Uncle, who's the scout for the Cardinals, like that one of the head scouts. Ooh. And he goes, my dad asked him, he's like, hey, what do you look for in people? Like, and he goes, or in players, and he goes, somebody that can make something out of nothing. And that was Aaron Jones. Yeah. I mean, you even saw, if you watch that Bengals highlight, the one he had like the 50-yard run or something. Yeah. I mean, nobody blocked, or like there was like a couple missed blocks or whatever, and he just makes something out of nothing. I mean, unreal, man. I didn't really watch him in college, or I hadn't even really seen his college highlights until you told me that he was at UTEP. Dude, stiff arm was like, he was like Derrick Henry in college. Oh, his stiff arm was so nice. So nice. And yeah, he was faster than, he didn't look that fast, but he's fast, you know? It just makes me wonder how someone like that doesn't get offered by like other schools and stuff and ends up at UTEP. Yes, I think he had some bigger offers coming out, or like Arkansas or something. But he grew up in El Paso. His parents both served, and Fort Bliss is like one of the biggest military bases in the nation, second to like somewhere in Georgia or something. I can't remember. So I think he just want to stay home, you know. And him and his brother could ball like hoopers. Really? Did you know he played for UTEP? They both played for UTEP. Aaron and Alvin played for UTEP. He was a basketball player too? Yes, dude. Aaron Jones was, dude. We would play pickup at the school, just like, you know how the football players in Montana you guys play. He would play. It was like unreal. Really, those guys were unreal. Was he a power forward or what? I think he was a point guard. Yeah, he liked that. How tall was he? Like 6 foot? I think he's 5'11", 6 foot. 5'11", 6 foot. What is he? Like 240 point guard? No, I don't even know if he was back then. No, he was probably like 215, 220. I feel like, but he's pretty small. Yeah, but he was a dope dual sport athlete, man. They were ballers, man. And then
come on the podcast, Aaron.
Yeah, we'll
Come on the
we'll
podcast.
get him out here.
That'd
we'll
be
get
sick.
him. I got and then we got Will Hernandez, who's
Will Hernandez would
the
be
strongest
sick,
guy
too.
I've ever seen in my entire life. That guy, what are those called? The squat, where you put the safety bars up by your shoulders and you kind of like squat up, or you stand up. Stand up straight, and then you come back down, but you don't do like a full squat. I forgot what they're called. They're like squat outs or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That he would fill up the whole rack with 45s.
Really?
Oh, dude, the bar was like.
That's when you know it's a lot when it's like bouncing.
Oh yeah, and he's just like nothing, like nothing, absolutely unreal.
Oh my god!
And then Nik Needham, shout out Nik Needham. 5 is live. He was number 5 with me at UTEP. And he plays for the Dolphins right now. He's probably the third. I think his coach said like he's like the third best cover guy on the team. They have Xavier Howard and someone else.
Yeah.
But the best. People would ask me, "Hey, Keynan, who's the best DB you've gone against?" Nik Needham.
Really?
I said that every time, and I would say that like when I was playing, because in practice I was like, "Dude, he's so like." I mean, he's not like some burner. Like I was definitely faster than him.
Yeah.
But that guy is so technical and physical, and
He knew
so
what you were
good.
gonna do.
Yeah, he's really smart. I mean, he's not like some like. You look at him and you be like, you think he's like should be chiseled or something. No, bro, he's like. He's up here. He's really smart. He's got really fast feet. So we should get him on here too. We got to, man. Coach, the guy that brought me in. Hey, so he tore his Achilles playing racquetball. I don't know if you ever knew this, right?
I don't know this,
dude. So he tore his Achilles playing racquetball during camp or right before camp, and so he's just riding around on his golf cart,
my god,
just spitting and yelling like motherfucker. you know how he be, bro.
Get back here!
Oh my god, yeah, dude. And so we play.
Funny.
We play Arizona, the second game of the season, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Keynan, you're starting." That was my first college start. He said, "I'm starting out outside. You're running a 18-yard comeback, but open up towards the quarterback. So like opposite of comeback." Yeah. And I warm it up and I go, and he Zach throws me the ball, or Ryan Matz, I can't remember which quarterback it was, and I drop it in warm-ups, and he grabs his crutch, he gets out of his car, he goes, you that's your first play of the game, you motherfucker, just spitting. Like everybody knows, if you play college football, you know how that is. And I just go there and I just go, he's right. I'm just like sitting there, I'm like, I got you. Like you're right.
Yeah.
Like this is the first play of the game, and I can't be dropping the ball.
Yeah.
And so then I run that play, the first play of the game, and got the catch barely. I literally caught it and I grabbed it like little mobble, little double catch, and then ran right out of bounds. Like didn't even like make, because the corner was playing like cover 3, like way off.
Yeah.
And but yeah, and so then ended up tearing my knee, whatever. And Coach B's got fired after that game, the Arizona game.
Oh, wow.
And I think that was Coach Cougar's way of. This is just our opinion as players. It was just to kind of save his ass. Like, hey, I'm trying to figure something out. So he got rid of Coach B's. So the year I got hurt, we went 0-12. The worst football team. 129th? Is that? I think it's 129th.
Yeah.
129th, whatever, or 130th, whatever. Last team. Our coach got fired. Yeah. Our coach got fired. Coach Sean Cougar, who coached for the Cardinals. He's the offensive line coach. Shout out to him. And Brian Natkin. Coach Coos got fired after the 5th game against Army. Coach Pease got fired the 2nd game.
Talk about being on a team like that hasn't won. I mean, going 0-12 and then 1-11. Like, what's the mindset? What's the locker room like and stuff like that? That's a
great question.
From high school to college, I mean, high school, like we always made playoffs. Like we were pretty successful, and then here it's pretty successful as well. So kind of talk about that.
That's a great question. A lot of people don't know. It's unreal from where I came, when I was at UTEP with Coach Kugler, and then coming here with Coach App. Coach Cougar is just like Coach App. We're hitting. I don't give a fuck. Like we're gonna like kill them. Like you know what I'm saying? Like just hardcore, like everything. Our locker room. I have a video on my phone. Our locker room was literally a shit house. Tape,
Really?
Fruit Loops, or whatever breakfast food, just like burritos, socks. Everything was just a shit house. Damn. I mean, like nobody cared about the team. And so when I tore my knee, I took a video and I was like, 0-7 locker room for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you should see it, dude. I mean, and it was a lot of.
I'll put it up on it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll send you the video. I mean, it was just absolutely terrible, bro. I mean, the discipline we had was awful. Mm-hmm. We had great players, great athletes, but the team camaraderie was not there at all. Mm-hmm. And that's what it takes to. I noticed that once I came here. Yeah. I came here and it was like, your shit better be spotless. And I was like, yes, sir. Like this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted the whole time. But yeah, man, that was just like the lock. I mean, people were just always down, just negative. I mean, complaining, fighting, arguing all the time, joking, going out on Thursdays. I was one of them. I would go out on a Thursday, right? Because I mean, everybody was going out on Thursday. We're going on a Thursday. Shoot, we're traveling Friday. Get our ass whooped. Go out and we went. We can go downtown. We go out on Saturday. We drink to our loss.
Oh my god!
I mean, it was just terrible, bro. Just absolute awful.
So at that point, losing was just like, it's whatever.
It's just whatever, man. I mean, I tore my knee, and we lost to New Mexico State, our rival.
Yeah.
And I went home and I drank a couple beers, and I was just like, "This is it, right? I don't know. One of the same thing, whatever."
But okay. Anyways, moving on to the next school. Big guy went to 3 schools.
I was talking to my dad about it, and my dad was like, "Hey, man, I'll call Coach Pease because you couldn't talk to coaches." He's like, "Hey, I'll talk to him and see if we can get you at Montana." Coach Pease answers my dad, says, "We got an offer for him, a full-year scholarship, but he's gonna have to play DB because we have no DBs." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "But like after the first 4 games, he can play receiver or whatever." So probably like 17th or 18th, and I call my dad. I'm outside of camp. Like my phone is in my backpack because we're in Rio Doso, New Mexico. We travel for camp, and we're about to go back that same weekend. And my dad's like, "You got to make a decision, man." Like my dad's on my ass, you know. I think he's always on my ass. But my mom's like, "Do what's best for you, like whatever." You know how moms are. Love my mom to death.
That's funny.
And so I literally am sitting outside, and I'm like, "I'm gonna do it."
Yeah.
Fuck it. I went to FAMU. This is how it comes full circle. I went to FAMU. Never knew anybody. Only knew the coach. Didn't know anybody. Threw myself in the fire. Made great experiences. Learned new things. Networked. UTEP. Knew nobody. Only knew Coach Pease. Went there. Networked. Have some of my best friends still to this day from there and from FAMU. And then I was like, I'm doing it again. Why not? Why not do a world tour, you know, or like a U.S. tour, whatever you call it?
Not a world tour, your girls tour.
Yeah, so I was like, let's do it. And plus, I was like, how cool is that? I committed to Montana my freshman year, my sophomore year. My senior year. Yeah, my senior year of high school. And I was like, shoot, full circle, I'm gonna come back. Mm-hmm. So packed my bags. Just pack up what I had and just left. I packed up my clothes and some picture frames, I guess, and just dipped.
Damn.
I went to Seattle for a night and then went to Montana the next day. Mm-hmm. And Nick Fouch picked me up. Shout out Nick Fouch. Picked me up from the airport because that's the only person I kind of knew. Yeah. Like I met him at a party or something in like sophomore year or something when I was at UTEP because he's from Seattle. Mm-hmm. And didn't just walk in and I went to the meetings with like all dark blue stuff on, and Coach Cox is like, "Don't ever wear dark blue." I'm like, "Why? What?" But yeah, then I came here, and the best football experience I've had is at Montana. Yeah, man, came here, and then they say, "Hey, Keynan, we need a DB. You're 5'8", 160. Yeah, you got speed. I mean, you're good. Mind you, I hate tackling. Yeah, I hate hitting. I'll take a hit. Yeah. Like, whatever, you know what I mean? But, like, I've never played defense, and they thought, like, because I'm an athlete, I could transition so easily. Mm-hmm. You saw the picture. That was not good at all, bro. And so it's so funny. Everybody asks me, like, Keynan, what position do you play here? And I'm like, it depends on who it is. I'll be like, receiver. If it's, like, someone who doesn't really care, like, know about football, I'll be like, receiver. Just because I'm like, whatever. And then people who do, I'm like, DB. But, like, I played, like, special teams and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, shout out Coach Cox. He really tried to get me going, but I absolutely hated DB. Yeah. I mean, I had some like moments of shine in practice. Like I'd pick off Cam or like break up a ball on Samori or Sammy like once a month. You know what I mean? And so
like, let's go.
every day on scout team because I'm second string. I'm like, Corbin was out there. Corbin's way better than me. Obviously, he's like that's what he wanted to play to be.
Yeah.
And every day on scout team. I mean, every practice, like damn near every practice. Keelan White would moss me every practice.
That's what I heard. Bro.
Oh, just eat soup off my head, just like.
Drag his nuts on your forehead.
Oh, just nuts all up in my face, and he would catch it, and I'd go, "Good shit, boy." I'm like, I know what it's like to be a young receiver who's his first year, and so I loved. I was like, bro, you're the future. I'm not. It was a lot of fun, man. I mean, Coach Houck he's a real deal, and Omar said on his tweet, he said, Coach Houck will really bring the dog out of you.
Really,
and like
really
he really will. I mean, I really was like when I got there, I was like, I have to hit. I have to like I'm gonna do this. So, yeah, man, it was a lot of fun.
What?
I'm still here, man.
What made you stay here? I guess because you were contemplating going back home and stuff like that too.
So I was in grad school and COVID hit, and I was gonna do the pro day. Pro day got canceled. Everything, and. I love football, man. I wanted to keep playing, but like in the back of my head, I was like, do I want to keep playing? So like that's obviously not good, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, whatever, man. COVID's hit. Like I'm not gonna force it. I'm just gonna wait it out. Like I'm assuming this is gonna end early, or whatever. And so I was my plan. Let's say COVID didn't hit, I was going to drop out of grad school after that season, go back home, train. And then just try for a pro day, come back for a pro day, or just do CFL, maybe go overseas and play.
Yeah.
But then that didn't happen, and I ended up. My parents were like, "Yo, you need to get your master's, man," because like my degree in at UTEP was like general studies, and so advice to you guys who are, if you're listening and you are a football player and your advisor tells you to change your degree. Because you won't be able to make it to practice or whatever, say no, and tell them to make it work. It's just because and praise to them. I mean, they have to do a lot of schedules and stuff. Yeah. But my future, I was like, dude, I'm playing football. Like, who cares? I'll just do this general studies degree because I transferred. They're like, that's the only way you're gonna be able to play.
Yeah.
And
need a plan B.
So COVID really is why I stayed so far. And then in this past spring, Tevin came out. Tevin Gray, shout out Tevin Gray. You got to get him on the podcast too. The guy's amazing. If you talk about like friends that you trust, and I wanted to bring this up. I don't trust. You should really not trust a lot of people, in your life, and a lot of friends, and that's probably one of the only friends that I really, really, truly trust. I mean, that guy's always been there for me, and he's been through a lot. Really came from nothing too, and the guy's freaking baller, man. He's always grinding, and so shout out to him. I know he's watching. And then that was when I was working at Pie Hole. Shout out Pie Hole, the pizza place. Left there and got a new job for a company in Seattle doing remote work. I hate 9-to-5 business work. I noticed it's awful. I mean, in the remote world, it's cool because you're at home. You can do whatever you want, kind of work all day.
Still 9-to-5 though. Yeah,
still 9-to-5, and it was just like you're really working. Like my boss was like, "You're really working for a boss, right?" And so I just didn't like it. And then we parted ways, and we parted ways early September, and then now I'm just back at Pie Hole making about $10. It's like a $10 raise from when I was making, and I'm working on. Getting the manager spot and then going back to school and starting a business with Tevin. We're trying to open up a gym here soon.
Ooh.
He's been saving up a lot of money, and I am saving up money, but I'm trying to go back to school for sports management. Something I enjoy doing and something I can actually use my degree for. Instead
Are you going to do it here? Are you going to do it online? Or?
Do it online. So I'm looking at online. So I want to go back to school. But my goal is to start my own business with Tevin.
Would it be like grad school type stuff or what?
It would be grad school. Yeah. No, and some of my credits will transfer because I already did a year and a half of the other grad school. But yeah, it would be online. It's like school. I'm looking at LaSalle College in Boston. So I'm trying to go there probably in the spring. But best case scenario, Tevin comes back from his job and we can work on this little business. So. I want to ask you first, so when you got done playing football, was it hard finding an identity for yourself? like kind of figuring out like because you were thinking about like football all the time. You're like, I'm part of the team, whatever. But like once it was done for you, how did you find your identity?
I mean, it sucks because it's like your whole life. It's like when people ask you who you are, you're like, oh, I'm a Montana football player.
Exactly.
Or, I play football.
I play football.
Blah blah blah. This high school stuff like that. So that was definitely the hardest thing. Like I went through a super like depressed time because I knew I could play here. Like I know I can. There's some guys that were on the team that might be still on the team. I still believe that I could be there instead of it. But it took me probably like a whole like 6 months to a year to like accept it and be like God, like what are you doing? Like why? Like there's got to be something good to come out of this because right now it seems like so bad.
Like nothing, yeah.
And I was lucky enough to still be around the program and stuff like that, but it wasn't the same. And I was still like in denial of everything.
Questioning yourself a little bit.
Questioning everything. Like, I mean, you, like we said earlier about the hats, like we both dreamed about picking a hat and that didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I dreamed about certain things that happened that didn't happen. So, that all was just tough. And then I came to realization that like, I mean, people don't realize like football ends for everyone. For everyone. And sports end for everyone. And some people freak out when it happens because they're like, oh crap, like I didn't take opportunities when I was playing football that I probably should have, that I could have done after football.
Yeah, exactly.
Like more than an athlete type thing. So the plus side to what happened to me and not be able to play for as long as I wish I would have was all these opportunities came flowing. Like, starting to do broadcasting with a local station in town, starting to do podcasts, like starting to work for like certain like broadcasts, starting to build up my resume. Like I was doing soccer games, softball games, like doing stuff that I love because I mean, I used to watch like Kelsey. This is funny. Kelsey like would be mad at me all the time because she'd want to watch cartoons when we were little. But I wanted to watch NFL Network or ESPN. And my dad worked. My dad worked all day.
Your dad told me that.
Yeah, my dad worked all day, and he didn't know what was going on in sports. So I would give him like a sheet of notes of like, here's what happened, blah blah blah, every day. And then
That's so sick.
My parents said like in the shower and stuff, I would like pretend to interview myself after games when I was little,
That's
like
so
stuff like that.
Sick, yeah.
And then always made videos. Just kind of like been involved in videos, like in making videos now. Just kind of involved in that stuff as well. So yeah, now today I am like fully fine. Like I mean, I did what I could, like didn't quit, like all that kind of stuff. Like it still is my identity, kind of, but like I know God's got a plan for me, and I know that like things happen for a reason, and there's so much good that's happened from that, and it's cool. It's I'm blessed, man. It's been dope. And I'm just excited to see what's about to continue and stuff like that. It's awesome. Cool because I mean, even I think. Also, that sucks about college sports is like it's so time invested that you don't have time to like take other opportunities and do things that you could have unless you're not in it, which sucks because then it's like some people, it looks good on your resume, but also you might be behind in other people because they've had more time doing the career that you want.
Exactly. So that's what I think about too. I'm like, dude, my parents would tell me too. I'm like, they're like, yo, you're way behind. Like we were already starting our careers. Like my parents have been teachers since they're. My mom started when she was teaching school, like 23. My dad was at 25, and they're like, "Yo, we were starting our career," and like all the pressure's on me, and I'm like, "Dude, I don't know what's going on." Like, especially because COVID. After I ended with what I was doing with football. I mean, I had a tough time finding my identity as well, right? And so I try to ask people that all the time. Especially, I mean, even if you're in high school. My sister's a sophomore in college at UW, and she has no friends at UW. And COVID, she didn't have prom, nothing like that, and she's having a tough time finding her identity as well, like in the college realm, right? So it's not just athletes as well, but it's just like the mental health thing is like a really serious topic. And I have a lot of football players that are like, or football players, friends that are in college sports that are working. I'm working at a pizza place, bro, and I'm 25, and I'm like thinking about, I'm like, dude, I'm an actual failure. That's what I was thinking for the longest time, right? And it took a while for me to beat my subconscious brain and be like, dude, you're fine, man. You're going to be okay. You're still young. 25 seems old to 22-year-olds or 18-year-olds, 21-year-olds, you know what I mean? But I'm going to be fine. I know what my goal is. I know I'm going to be healthy and wealthy, which I hope I'm going to be healthy and wealthy, but like I beat in my brain that I know I am, so I can train my brain and make it come to fruition. So that's I hope all the athletes out there, man, you guys got to keep level headed and always think ahead, but don't think too far ahead, and don't overthink, man. Overthinking is a big thing that I had, and I didn't know what anxiety was, and it's a big topic now, which is really cool. But I had anxiety, man. I had depression, and I had a tough time finding who I was, and I'm still having a tough time. But I know that everything's gonna be okay, man.
Biggest thing too is also blocking out the noise and stuff like that. I mean, there's people that are gonna be on your head, like saying like whatever, but it's those long-term goals that will get you keep going. And they're like, oh yeah, like when you're at the top or when you're doing whatever, you're like, yeah, like look at me now, bitch.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Cool. It's cool too because like both of us like can relate because we're both super good at like networking and being social and like being able to like relate to certain people and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And working at a pizza place, you never know. Someone could walk in and be like, yo, you've been super
dude.
bright.
Oh yeah, I've already had things like that.
You made
happen,
probably so many connections there that you wouldn't have if you're working remote 9 to 5.
Exactly.
You know
yeah. And I feel like you're the same way as me. I mean, just empathy and optimism, man. Staying positive and optimistic, and every person you meet, you never know. You know what I mean? You never know what they can bring to you, and you never know what they're going through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody is going through something, and so you were going through something earlier, right? And you could have talked to somebody else and be like all pissed off about what you're going through, but they could have been going through something worse. You know what I mean? It could always be worse, and that's another thing too. So, have empathy, man. And I got that from Gary V back in the day. I mean, back in like high school.
Gary V.
Yeah, back like freshman year or something. I can't remember. I watched one of his videos. He talks a lot. He's very knowledgeable, but the empathy and optimism was like my biggest thing, man. I mean, you never know what anybody's going through. So just have love for everybody. And even though you may not have it, or I might not have it some days, and I might be pissed off or things like that, or I might be rude to somebody or like subtly rude, I still try to like train my brain and train and think in my head like, hey man, relax. It could always be worse, right?
Yeah.
So
facts.
Yeah. My dream job right now would be to be an athletic trainer for high school and youth kids of all sports, kind of like a Tracy Ford, the FSP. Shout out to him. He went to Portland State. He was an athlete too, and so that's what I dream to do, and I believe I can do, and I will do eventually. But if I go back to school and do sports management, I'm thinking like NFL scout. I just want to. I could always have went back to coaching, and I could have went to be a GA. And shout out to all my old teammates that are GAs, but I don't want to. It's not a stable job, man. And and then once you become a coach, you just keep moving around, and I just don't want that. Just for me, I just see how stressful it is to coaches and also the players that you're leaving. Like Coach Cox just left to Kent State, but it's better for his family. And Coach Nicholson as well. I mean, you're just always moving around. But if you're down to do that, all the power to you. But like NFL scouting is a little bit more stable job. You still kind of move around. Maybe like media, sports media, something behind the scenes, kind of like what you want to do. Are you more? You kind of more want to be like the broadcasting route, or
either or sports media and stuff like that.
So I kind of want to be like behind. My dad's like, man, you should be a broadcaster. You're like, you could talk and everything. I'm like, yeah, but like, I meet people like you. I'm like, you're gonna do great.
Bro, you could
like,
too though.
I could, but like
for like a bar store or like a Bleacher Report or something like that.
I could definitely do something like that, man. I could definitely do like something like House Highlights or like like things like that. Like I'd be super down. So if you want to connect and
we'll
do something,
we'll get our own podcast.
We can do something, bro.
Going.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be super down. But I just like I can't leave the realm of sports, and I don't want to leave the realm of helping people out, man. I love the youth and trying to teach people from the lessons I learned and what I've been through, and also through the lessons I've learned through people who've been through worse than I've been through or came from nothing. And I just want to spread that word. So maybe be a counselor or something. I don't know.
What are the odds you shave?
Dude.
What are the odds you shave your beard?
Oh, I figured something like this shit was gonna happen. This episode is sponsored by Manscaped.
That lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped. Manscaped, please sponsor me. Please. Look at that. Look how good it shaved it.
Easy trim.
Easy. No burns. No blood.
No, what do I look like now? I look like
Nothing.
I feel like I look like a skateboarder or something.
Yeah, you look good.
I look good.
Yeah.
Alrighty, folks, and that's a wrap. I want to thank Keynan Foster for being here today. I appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate you, Jackson.
Always love you, man.
All
Always,
love,
bro.
baby. All
And,
love, all the time. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm just glad I could share my story on the Groff Show podcast, man. I went through a lot of universities, went through a lot of struggle. You know what I mean? Yeah. Shout out all the people I shouted out during that podcast. Shout
out a lot of people in the podcast. Yeah, you did.
Shout out all of them. Even if it doesn't make the cut, hey, I still love you, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm Keynan
You
Foster.
still got money, right? Yeah, you still got money, right? Yeah, tell them. But yeah, that's gonna be a wrap for us here on the Groff Show. And I wanted to give another thanks to Keynan Foster and Skyline Sports for sponsoring this podcast. It's been a good one. We'll catch you next week with another special guest.
I'm crying.